I sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cold coffee mug, glancing at the clock as the night stretched on. Emily wasn't home yet. She'd told me she was working the night shift again, cleaning rooms at the Marriott downtown. It had been her routine for over a year, ever since Noah, our youngest, turned 3 and we needed extra cash to keep up with bills. With Liam at 8 and Olivia at 6, 3 kids meant a tight budget, and I didn't mind her taking the late hours. I worked days at the warehouse, loading boxes, coming home with sore shoulders, and we'd tag-team the parenting, me in the mornings, her during the day before she left. 12 years married, a small house in Seattle, rain tapping the windows most nights. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. She'd stumble in around the early hours, smelling of bleach and cheap soap, and I'd pull her close on the couch, her hands soft against my chest, her tired laugh filling the quiet. We'd sit there sometimes, too worn out to talk, just feeling each other's warmth, a moment that reminded me why we kept going. Lately, though, she'd been different, distant, always checking her phone, leaving quick pecks instead of those lingering kisses that used to lead us upstairs after the kids were asleep. The house was still, the kids tucked in upstairs, Liam in his superhero sheets, Olivia with her stuffed bunny, Noah sprawled across his crib mattress. I'd put them to bed hours ago, reading Noah his favorite truck book until his eyes drooped, tucking Olivia in with a promise to fix her bike tomorrow, telling Liam to stop sneaking his tablet under the covers. The living room was a mess of toys and crayons, evidence of their chaos, and I hadn't bothered cleaning up, too tired from work and too restless waiting for Emily. I checked my texts, no word from her, no, running late like she sometimes sent. I opened our bank app, scrolling through the usual, groceries, gas, a pizza splurge last week. Then I saw it, a deposit from Emerald Entertainment. Not Marriott. My stomach tightened, a dull ache spreading up to my throat. She'd always said the hotel paid cash, sometimes slipped her an envelope for extra hours, but this was a direct transfer, a company name I'd never heard of, not the hotel chain she'd mentioned 100 times. I scrolled back, more deposits, same name, every few weeks, odd amounts that didn't match the steady pay she'd claimed for cleaning. The dates lined up with her shifts, nights she'd leave with a quick goodbye and come back hours later. I set the phone down, stared at the chipped edge of the table, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was a side gig, something she hadn't told me about, but why hide it? We'd always been straight with money, her teaching me how to budget when we first got married, me joking about her coupon stash while she balanced our checkbook. This wasn't like her. The kids' snores drifted faintly from upstairs, a reminder of what we'd built, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was slipping. When she came in, the front door clicked softly like she didn't want to wake me. I was still at the table, coffee long gone cold, and she paused in the doorway, her jacket slung over her arm. Her hair was neat, tied back, not the messy bun I'd expect after scrubbing floors, and she smelled faintly of something sweet, vanilla maybe, not the sharp sting of bleach I'd gotten used to. She smiled, tired but quick, said it was a long night, lots of rooms, and headed upstairs without stopping. I mumbled a good night, watched her go, her steps light on the creaky stairs. She didn't come to the couch like she used to, didn't lean into me, her body warm from work but soft against mine. Those nights we'd sit close and let the world fade. I followed her up a few minutes later, slid into bed beside her, but she was already turned away, breathing steady, leaving me staring at the ceiling. The next morning, I got the kids up, Liam dragging his feet, Olivia asking for pancakes, Noah tugging at my shirt, and drove them to school, the routine keeping me busy. But that deposit stuck with me, Emerald Entertainment, a name that didn't fit. At work, I couldn't focus, stacking boxes on autopilot, replaying her excuse, her scent, her distance. During my break, I Googled it, nothing clear, just a vague site about event staffing in Seattle, no mention of hotels. It didn't add up. She'd always been the steady one, the planner, the one who held us together when I lost my first job or when Noah's birth stretched us thin. I didn't want to doubt her, not with 3 kids sleeping under our roof, not with the life we'd patched together, but that deposit burned in my mind, a crack in the story she'd told me, and I knew I couldn't let it go. The days blurred into routine, but that crack kept widening. I woke up to the alarm, the room still dark with Seattle's gray dawn seeping through the blinds. Emily was asleep beside me, her hair fanned across the pillow, her face calm, like nothing was wrong. She'd come in late again, muttering something about the hotel having a big checkout, more rooms to clean than usual. I rolled out of bed quietly, careful not to wake her, and shuffled to the kitchen to start the morning chaos. Liam stumbled down first, grumbling about soggy cereal, Olivia followed, fumbling with her shoelaces, and Noah clung to my leg, whining for juice. I got them fed, dressed, and out the door for school, their chatter filling the car, Liam bragging about a dodgeball win, Olivia asking if we could get a dog, Noah babbling about trucks. It was the usual mess and I loved it, but my mind wasn't there. I kept seeing that bank deposit, Emerald Entertainment, not Marriott, and another one from a few days back, same name, sitting in our account like a quiet lie. After dropping them off, I headed to the warehouse, the hum of forklifts and the weight of boxes a dull distraction. At lunch, I sat in the break room, sandwich untouched, and pulled out my phone. I stared at those deposits, the dates matching her so-called shifts, nights she'd leave with a quick, see you later, and come back hours past when a cleaning job should end. I dialed the Marriott downtown, kept it casual, said my wife worked nights there, asked if they were hiring more cleaners. The guy on the line hesitated, then said they didn't use third-party payments, just direct deposits with their logo, no Emerald, anything. My chest tightened, a slow squeeze that made it hard to swallow. I thanked him, hung up, and sat there, the noise of the warehouse fading as I realized her story didn't hold. When I got home, Emily was up, standing at the stove, stirring spaghetti sauce, humming some tune I didn't recognize. Her phone buzzed on the counter, and she grabbed it fast, too fast, her fingers swiping the screen before setting it face down. She smiled at me, asked how my day was, said the kids would be home soon from after-school club. I nodded, helped Noah with his blocks when he toddled in, but I kept watching her, her nails painted red, glossy, not chipped like they'd be from scrubbing tiles, her jeans snug, not the baggy ones she used to wear for work. She looked good, too good for a night of mopping floors, and it hit me how long it had been since she'd come home sweaty, complaining about sore feet, letting me rub her shoulders while we talked about nothing. Those nights used to end with her leaning into me, her breath warm on my neck, a closeness we hadn't had in months. That evening, she said she had another shift, kissed me quick on the cheek, barely a brush, and left, her jacket slung over her shoulder, a small bag in hand. I waited until the kids were in bed, Liam arguing about lights out, Olivia begging for one more story, Noah already snoring. Once the house was quiet, I went to our room, her closet still open from earlier. No Marriott uniform, just a faded apron she hadn't touched in ages, and under a stack of sweaters, a small locked box I'd never seen before. I ran my fingers over it, metal, cold, no key in sight. I didn't pry it open, didn't want to break anything yet, but it sat there like a question I couldn't answer. I checked her dresser next, found a receipt tucked in a drawer, a bar called Velvet Room, dated last week, not a hotel supply store. My hands shook a little as I slipped it into my pocket. She came back later, the front door creaking softly like she hoped I wouldn't hear. I was on the couch, pretending to watch TV, and she paused in the hallway, her makeup fresh, her jacket smelling of smoke and that sweet vanilla scent again, not a hint of bleach. I asked how work was, keeping my voice steady, and she said it was fine, tiring, a big mess to clean up after some event. She didn't look tired, though, her eyes were bright, her steps too light as she headed upstairs. I followed a bit later, slid into bed beside her, but she was already turned away, her breathing even, leaving me with the hum of the heater and a growing knot in my gut. The next day, I took a half-day off, told her I'd fixed the car's oil leak, dropped the kids at my sister's after school, and waited. She left again, same excuse, night shift, and I grabbed my keys, knowing I had to see where she really went, because that locked box, those deposits, that receipt, they weren't adding up and I couldn't keep pretending they did. The drive felt endless, though it was just through the city's damp streets. I sat in my truck, parked a block from the house, the engine off, headlights dim. Emily had just left, her car pulling out of the driveway, her excuse the same, night shift at the hotel. The kids were with my sister, safe for the night, and I told her I'd be late fixing the car. My hands gripped the wheel, the receipt from the Velvet Room crinkling in my pocket, that locked box still on my mind. I started the engine, kept my distance, and followed her taillights through the rain, the wipers swiping in a steady rhythm. She didn't head downtown toward the Marriott like I'd expected. Instead, she turned into a side street near Capitol Hill, a part of town I didn't know well, all neon signs and late-night crowds. I stayed back, watched her park near a place with a glowing sign, Emerald Lounge, not a hotel, not even close. She stepped out, her jacket swapped for a long coat I didn't recognize, her hair loose, not tied back like for cleaning. I waited, heart-thudding, as she disappeared inside. I parked across the street, pulled my cap low, and walked closer, the thump of music leaking through the walls. The sign said live entertainment, and a guy at the door checked IDs, nodding me in after a glance. Inside, it was dark, crowded, people at tables, drinks clinking, a stage up front with lights flashing. I slid into a corner booth, kept my head down, and scanned the room. Then I saw her, Emily, on stage, not in a maid's apron but a tight dress, shimmering under the spotlight, moving to the beat, hips swaying, arms raised, the crowd cheering. My breath caught. This wasn't cleaning. This was dancing, bold and free, the kind of moves that turned heads, nothing like the quiet woman who tucked our kids into bed. She didn't see me, didn't know I was there, her eyes locked on the audience, a smile I hadn't seen in months. A man near the stage, tall, dark hair, watched her close, his hands clapping, then slipping her something, a tip maybe when she leaned down. They lingered, her fingers brushing his, a look passing between them I couldn't unsee. My stomach twisted, not just from the dance but from that moment, that connection. I'd held her like that once, after long days, her body pressed to mine on the couch, her laugh soft in my ear, but this was different, this was for someone else. I pulled out my phone, hands shaky, snapped a few blurry shots, her on stage, him reaching up, then left before she spotted me, the noise fading as I hit the street. Back in the truck, I sat there, rain drumming the roof, replaying it, her dress, her moves, that man. She wasn't just dancing, there was more, something I didn't want to name yet. I drove home, the kids still at my sister's, the house empty. She came in later, her coat damp, that vanilla scent on her again, no bleach, no sweat. I asked how her night was, casual, and she said it was busy, smiled, went upstairs. I didn't follow right away, stayed on the couch, staring at those photos, knowing I'd cracked open something I couldn't close. The next day, I kept it normal, dropped the kids at school, went to work, but my mind was on her, on that stage, on that man, and I knew I had to dig deeper because whatever she was hiding, it wasn't just a job. The routine kept me grounded, but the questions wouldn't stop. I woke up to the kids banging around downstairs, Olivia yelling for cereal, Noah crying over a spilled cup. Emily was already up, flipping pancakes, acting like nothing had changed. I'd barely slept, those photos from the Emerald Lounge burned into my phone, her on stage, that man's hand near hers. I got Liam ready for school, tied Olivia's shoes, packed Noah's bag, all on autopilot, watching her move around the kitchen, calm, humming, her hair still neat from last night. She kissed me quick, said she'd see me later, and I nodded, keeping my face blank. After dropping the kids off, I called in sick to the warehouse, drove back home, and sat in the living room, the silence heavy. I needed more than blurry pictures, I needed proof of what I'd seen, what I feared. Her laptop was on the coffee table, left open from yesterday. She'd never been big on passwords, trusted me too much, and I logged in, my hands cold. I checked her email first, nothing obvious, just bills, school stuff for the kids, but in her trash folder, I found one from Jake, no subject, just missed you last night, see you soon. My throat tightened. I didn't know a Jake, never heard her mention him, but the date matched a night she'd worked late. I dug into her cloud storage next, a shared folder we used for family pics, Liam's soccer games, Olivia's drawings, Noah's first steps. Buried in a subfolder labeled miscellaneous, I found others, Emily in that tight dress, posing backstage, then one with him, tall, dark hair, the guy from the club, his arm around her, her head tilted into his shoulder, smiling like she used to with me. I sat back, staring at the screen, the room spinning a little. These weren't old, the timestamps were recent, months ago, weeks ago. I remembered those nights, her leaving with a quick wave, me reading to Noah, thinking she was mopping floors. Instead, she'd been there, with him, her body close to his, not mine. I'd felt her pull away before, the way she'd dodge my touch, say she was tired, but this was more proof she wasn't just dancing for tips. I copied the photos to my phone, closed the laptop, and waited. She came home that afternoon, picked up the kids from school, cooked dinner like always. I watched her laugh with Liam, help Olivia with homework, and wondered how she kept it up, this act, this lie. That night, she said she had another shift, left with her bag, and I didn't follow this time. I stayed home, put the kids to bed, and pulled out her jacket from the closet, vanilla and smoke again, a folded note in the pocket. Jake, backstage after. My hands clenched around it. I didn't confront her when she got back, her eyes bright, her story the same, busy night, tired feet. I just nodded, let her sleep, knowing I had enough now to start planning because this wasn't just about a job anymore, it was about us, about the kids, about everything she'd thrown away. The days started blending together, but each one sharpened my focus. I stood at the sink, washing dishes, the kids' chatter filling the house, Liam arguing with Olivia over a game, Noah banging a spoon on his tray. Emily was in the shower, getting ready for another shift, her routine so polished I'd bought it for over a year. I'd seen her dance, found those photos with Jake, held that note in my hand, and still, she moved through her life like nothing was wrong. I dried my hands, kept my voice steady as I told her to drive safe, watched her leave with that same quick kiss, her bag slung over her shoulder. The kids settled down and I got them to bed, Liam with his comics, Olivia with her bunny, Noah with his truck clutch tight. Then I sat in the dark, the house quiet, piecing it together, her lies, her nights, her with him. The next day, I took the kids to the park after school, let them run wild while I sat on a bench, phone in hand. I scrolled through the photos again, her on stage, her with Jake, their closeness a punch to my gut. I'd held her like that once, after work, her body warm against mine, her hands tugging me closer, moments that faded as she pulled away. Now I knew why. I called my sister, asked if she'd watch the kids tomorrow night, said I had something to check out. She agreed, no questions, and I hung up, staring at the swings where Liam pushed Noah, Olivia giggling nearby. They didn't deserve this, 3 kids caught in a web I hadn't seen coming. That evening, Emily left again, her excuse unchanged, and I drove back to the Emerald Lounge, cap pulled low, blending into the crowd. She was there, on stage, that dress hugging her, her moves drawing eyes, drawing his Jake, front row, watching her like she was his. I stayed longer this time, saw her finish, slip backstage, him following a minute later. I didn't go in, didn't need to, her coming out later, his arm around her, heading to his car, told me enough. I snapped more photos, clearer now, their faces sharp under the streetlights. Back home, I waited, and when she walked in, her story was the same, long night, hotel chaos. I nodded, let her climb into bed, her back to me, and I lay there, planning. The next morning, I kept it normal, breakfast, school drop-off, work, but called a lawyer on my break, a guy my buddy recommended. I told him I needed options, mentioned the kids, the marriage, kept it vague. He said evidence mattered, and I had plenty now, photos, emails, that note. I didn't want to just walk away, I wanted her to feel it, wanted the kids safe with me. That night, she left again, and I started gathering more, digging through her things while the kids slept, another note in her purse, Jake, tomorrow, a lipstick shade she never wore here. It was building, and I knew the end was close. With every piece I found, the picture got clearer, and my resolve hardened. I sat on the couch, kids asleep upstairs, the TV flickering with some show I wasn't watching. Emily had left earlier, her usual line about the hotel, her bag in hand, that vanilla scent trailing her out the door. I'd stopped asking questions, stopped pretending I believed her, because I knew, dancer, not cleaner, Jake, not just a job. The photos on my phone, the emails, the notes, they were a map of her other life, one I'd been blind to while raising Liam, Olivia, and Noah. I'd loved her, trusted her, felt her hands on me in the quiet nights we used to share, her laugh a tether through the hard years. Now that was gone, replaced by this stranger who smiled at me over breakfast and danced for someone else. The next day, I dropped the kids at school, went to work, but met the lawyer after, Mark, a calm guy with a notepad and a plan. I showed him everything, stage photos, Jake's arm around her, the missed you email, the backstage notes. He nodded, said it was enough for divorce, enough for custody if I could prove she wasn't stable for the kids. I didn't want to just leave, I wanted her to see it fall apart, wanted Liam, Olivia, and Noah with me, not her. Mark suggested a public move, something undeniable, and I thought about her world, the club, her lies, her pride in keeping it hidden. That night, she left again, and I drove to the Emerald Lounge, not to watch but to talk. I found a bartender, a guy who'd seen me before, asked about Emily. He smirked, said she was a star, danced 3 nights a week, always with her guy, after Jake, a regular. It confirmed what I'd guessed, and I left, my plan sharpening. Back home, I waited, and when she came in, her hair loose, her excuse ready, I just nodded, let her sleep. The next morning, I kept it light, helped Liam with his spelling, fixed Olivia's bike, played trucks with Noah while she moved around us, oblivious. I called my sister, set up a weekend sleepover for the kids, told Emily it was a work thing. She didn't blink, said she'd be working too, and I smiled, knowing what was coming. That afternoon, I printed everything, photos, emails, notes, dozens of copies, clear shots of her dancing, her with Jake, her lies laid bare. I wasn't just walking away, I was taking it all down, for me, for the kids, for the years she'd played me. The plan was set, and I could feel the weight lifting as I moved toward the end. I stood in the kitchen, coffee brewing, the kids laughing over pancakes, Liam flicking syrup at Olivia, Noah smearing it on his face. Emily was upstairs, getting ready for her shift, her bag packed, her routine a lie I'd lived with too long. I'd seen her dance, caught her with Jake, gathered proof photos, notes, emails, enough to finish it. 12 years, 3 kids, a life I'd thought was ours, and she'd traded it for spotlights and someone else's hands. I'd felt her pull away, her touch fading from our nights, her warmth reserved for him, not me, not us. Today, it stopped. I kissed the kids, dropped them at my sister's, told Emily I'd be late, and watched her leave, her car disappearing into the dusk. I met Mark at his office, handed over the file, every photo, every note, every piece of her secret life. He filed the divorce papers, pushed for full custody, said the evidence showed neglect, her nights away, her deception. But I wanted more than papers, I wanted her to face it, wanted it to hit where it hurt. That night, I drove to the Emerald Lounge, my printed copies in a bag, my steps steady. The place was alive, music pulsing, and she was on stage, that dress catching the light, Jake in his usual spot, grinning up at her. I didn't rush in blind, I planned this. I found the club's manager in the back, a guy with tired eyes who didn't care much, and handed him an envelope, a little cash inside, told him I had a special request for the night's show. He shrugged, took it, and I gave him the stack, photos, emails, notes, told him to pass them out, make it a surprise. I slipped into the crowd, waited as her set ended, watched her step off stage, Jake meeting her near the bar. Then it started. Waitresses moved through the room, handing out my prints, dozens of them, to patrons, to Jake, to her. People looked, whispered, pointed, her in that dress, her with him, backstage moments, missed you, in bold text. She froze, a photo in her hand, her eyes darting, finding me across the room. The music kept going, but the air shifted, heads turning, Jake stepping back, her face pale. I didn't stay for her excuses, just walked out, the buzz of the club behind me, knowing I'd lit the match. The fallout came fast, and I was ready for it. I stood in the driveway loading the kids' bags into the truck, Liam's soccer ball, Olivia's bunny, Noah's trucks, while my sister watched from her porch. Emily had come home late after the club, her voice shaky on the phone, begging me to talk, but I'd hung up, already packed, the kids with me. That night at the Emerald Lounge had spread like wildfire, patrons posting the photos online, tagging the club, her secret life splashed across Seattle's nightlife chatter. She couldn't hide it anymore, not from me, not from anyone. Mark served her the divorce papers the next day, catching her off guard at the house, her eyes red, her excuses spilling out. Jake was just a friend, the dancing was just for fun, she never meant to hurt us. I didn't listen, didn't need to, the kids were with me and that's what mattered. Court came quick, a week later, a gray courtroom, her lawyer fumbling, my evidence stacked high. Photos of her on stage, her with Jake, notes proving she'd been gone more nights than not, leaving me to raise Liam, Olivia, and Noah alone. Mark argued neglect, painted her as unreliable, and the judge agreed, full custody to me, her visitation limited, her tears silent as I walked out with the kids' hands in mine. We moved to a new place, a small rental across town, away from her, away from that house. Liam asked once where Mommy was, Olivia cried for her bunny's old spot, Noah just clung to me, but they settled in and I kept them steady, school, park, bedtime stories. Emily called sometimes, left messages, but I didn't answer, didn't need her voice pulling me back. Word got around, her club gigs dried up, the online buzz turned sour, Jake nowhere in sight. She'd thought I'd never know, thought she could dance through two lives, but I'd seen it, shown it, and taken what was mine, the kids, the truth, a fresh start without her lies.